We write for publications like iMedia and SmartBrief. Clutch, for 3 years, we've been a top digital agency. We've been a fastest growing and most admired company. And this is an image of our building in Northeast Portland. You're welcome to visit us anytime. Some of our clients in the e-commerce space that we've helped have successful holiday marketing programs are on this slide. And enough of us, let's talk about you and how we're going to help you have a successful holiday marketing season starting last month, going through December, even into January. So we'll talk through kind of the state of holiday marketing, how to create and develop an effective holiday marketing calendar, pacing out your content and your programs, and also the importance of awareness and other tactics to win the holidays. Wrap up with some best practices and case studies, and we will try to do some Q&A. So the state of holiday marketing, let's talk about that. One trend that you may be aware of if you've ever shopped is that there's a growing interest in gifting to oneself. One for you, two for me sort of thing, as the old Warner Brother cartoons used to go. So 70% of us as buyers have treated ourselves to a gift as we've shopped for others. 66% of millennials and 71% of Gen Z are impulse buyers in this regard. 68% of Hispanics and a majority of men and women, even with lower incomes, say they do so as well. So self-gifting is the new gifting for other people. 86% of people surveyed also say they will be spending more this year on gifts than in the past. Most, almost 60%, shop on Amazon at least once a month. 85% purchase from Amazon in the past year. The rest of those people do not have internet access, I would guess. Some in-store stats to keep in mind, leveraging in-store marketing. So there is the, what's it called, BUFAR. So you order online and you buy or pick up in store. That's a big thing to do. There's the showrooming approach. Go in store, check it out, and then order online. But basically, half of consumers still go to stores for inspiration. It's just not the same going through Amazon's curated content or even other e-commerce websites as it is to go into stores. So there's still a reason to have a physical presence. But ideally, the data you generate from your digital channels should be able to provide insights in how you select and present your products in stores. So you can see millennials, 3/4 are mobile phone users while in store versus 2/3 Gen X and only less than a third or slightly more than a third baby boomers. So it's definitely a generational thing to be hardwired to your mobile device while shopping. A few other stats, wish lists are becoming a critical component. So we've had the wish list capability in shopping carts for almost 2 decades, but 2/3 of holiday shoppers would like to have a retail wish list to help their gift purchases. So not only how to save your own wish list, but recommended gift ideas as well. The most sensitive holiday segments, the ones that are probably on this webinar, are apparel, accessories, and computers and electronics. And the least sensitive would be food and drug, health and beauty. Those are far less seasonal and don't tend to get as big of a lift in the holidays as other verticals. But there is more than one holiday, even for non-Christians. Of course, there's Christmas, but there's also Valentine's Day, Halloween, back to school, and some of those programs, Mother's Day, can be even more profitable than the Christmas holiday season, which can be very, very competitive and expensive. So if we think about how consumers shop, 44% of gift ideas come from family and friends. Just under half are impulsive purchases while you're in the checkout aisle or otherwise. 2/3 are researched at a price point specifically less than $50. So for those of you with e-commerce capabilities, which should be most of you listening today, should have a special gift ideas under $50 section for your gift guide as a no-brainer. Just over half utilize recommendations from retailers. So you'll see if you're in Portland, you know Powell's Books is known for their staff recommendations, but even Barnes & Noble and others will do that as well. So we look to the quote unquote experts, as whether they're just low-level employees or experts that are hired to provide those recommendations to provide those. And most, more than half of shoppers begin their research in October, if not earlier. And according to my watch, it's October 10th. So for those of you that haven't turned on the economic holiday campaign engine, you're already a couple weeks late. So consumers are leveraging both retail and third-party websites to learn more about products. Most of the time, again, 2/3 are spending less than $50, but there are a lot of folks that are researching products at every price point. Even it holds steady at about 85 to 89%, from $50 to $200. Everybody's researching those product price points. So that's the magic range. And what is the tipping point to get holiday shoppers to turn to buyers? Free shipping. In my experience, in my limited time in the e-commerce in-house brand, free shipping was a huge driver. So about just under 2/3 believe that's a key driver. Half are saying limited time sale or promotion. As much as you don't want to race to the bottom on discounting, it is obviously almost a necessary evil on Black Friday and Cyber Monday and other related times. They expect a certain amount of discount. The ability to buy online and pick up in store, 1/3 of people value that. So if you have a brick and mortar, that's a necessary offer to be competitive with other brick and mortars. Free gifts. So rather than discounting your brand or that of the lines you carry, offering some sort of promotional gift as an add-on can be helpful. Not quite as impressive as free shipping, but still as a way to capture if you do not have a discount brand, or you tend to be in the luxury market. Promotional add-ons are a good way to do it. But interestingly, staffing up your customer service and making sure they're helpful and responsive can be just as effective as giving things away. So instead of spending tens of thousands of dollars on mugs and other gift cards and other swag, you might just be time better spent upgrading your customer service, which is more than a seasonal benefit. You can reap the rewards year round. So let's shift gears a little bit and talk about creating a calendar. So what we want to talk about today is just visualizing, creating your own calendar here, or if you request, ask really nicely, we can get you a copy of this deck when we're done, is map out and use this slide to remember and understand what all the different highlights are of the December shopping season, and which starts in November with Black Friday after Thanksgiving and carries through all the way to Super Saturday, which is the last day that people can typically get something last minute, like gift cards, before the procrastinators are out of luck on the 25th. So let's break this down a little bit, and let's back up as well. And let's talk about July. And we're not talking about Christmas in July. We're talking about preparing for Christmas in July, which is really starts with search engine optimization. So it can take 3 to 6 months to reap the benefits of a good optimization program. So thinking ahead of time on products, gift guides, and other content that you can build around your holiday season, but primarily your product pages for products that will be heavily purchased or perused, is what you should be doing in July, August. Upgrading or enhancing your user experience. So doing some UX work to make sure that the shopping cart abandonment rate is minimal. You've lowered your bounce rate as much as possible, and generally clean up any sticking points in your conversion funnel. So cleaning that up, and that's a year-round effort, but really that's what you can do during the summer when your traffic and distractions are at their lowest. Things start to heat up in August, September, and October, where you're starting to grow your audience. One reason to do that is to build your email database or in your social followers in order to create more impact when you launch your campaigns in November, December. So growing your audience through awareness through organic and paid search, paid social, testing messaging, testing creative, getting people aware and top of mind, seeing what messages resonate to prepare for your big campaigns that start essentially in November, right around Thanksgiving with Black Friday. If you appeal to small businesses or are Small Business Saturday is a no-brainer. And then carrying the rolling thunder through to Cyber Monday. I think you'll start to see more brands tap that Sunday before Cyber Monday, kind of a Cyber Sunday sort of thing, to spread out the love and try and hit more affordable channels. And then there's, of course, Giving Tuesday, which we've all grown up giving things on Tuesday after Cyber Monday, which didn't exist when I was a kid. So in December, you've got some interesting couple milestones. That Green Monday, if you are an eco brand or appeal to eco buyers, socially conscious, environmentally conscious, Green Monday is a no-brainer. And then Super Saturday, again, capture the last-minute shoppers, which is a large percentage of folks. And then not to forget January, which is that opportunity to capture returns and gift cards, turning what is normally a painful time with returns into an opportunity, reminding people to redeem those gift cards. Not everybody wants to carry the liability of massive amount of gift cards. And also we know that gift cards spur additional purchases, so you can round out and kick off your year strong with gift card purchases. And ideally, even when people are returning, they may be doing additional purchasing. So that's a calendar at a glance. A few other thoughts. So October is sort of a make or break month for the holiday campaigns, because that's the last month before digital campaigns turn on and costs go off the charts on a cost per impression, cost per click basis. November typically sees an 18% higher lift in conversion rates and costs. Ad space in November can get downright painful. And then in December, obviously, that's where the majority of shoppers are doing their shopping. And you want to make sure that you have campaigns for the entire month, all the way through to at least potentially even day before with gift cards. And then January, obviously, we're talking about hitting those folks with the gift cards to get maximum return on those, and ideally additional add-on sales. And then just as a reminder, in 2016, Green Monday generated $1.6 billion in sales, but only 6% of brands sent out any Green Monday campaign content at all. So Green Monday this year we expect will be much bigger, as other presentations like mine are out there and smart brands are thinking about it. So be aware. And speaking of aware, let's talk about awareness and how that falls into factoring in and building into your campaigns. The idea, for instance, that 69% of brands purchased were done by switchers as part of their initial consideration set. So you've got buyers looking at multiple brands or multiple retailers, and they are open to switching versus the concept of the loyalist, which is only about 13% of buyers are absolutely going to stay with that brand. But there's a 30% of return, repeat, quasi-loyal buyers that are open and vulnerable to funneling off to your brand. But most switchers, 58% are you're able to pull away from consumers with aggressive marketing. Again, this is according to McKinsey Quarterly in February. So you should be building campaigns around not just your loyal and repeat customers, but switchers by marketing towards certain products and solutions, and less so necessarily on specific brands in order to pull them away into a consideration set. Also, holiday research versus purchasing. So when people begin to do their research versus when they begin to purchase. So you've got 8% of buyers before September or in September. That starts to double by October. It doubles again in November. And that starts to decrease in terms of in December. The research phase goes to near zero. Whereas the peak purchase phase is in November and then starts to decline in December. So most of us are believed to be those last minute buyers, but research shows the peak buying is on after Thanksgiving. Really, that last week of November is prime time. With Black Friday, Cyber Monday, the majority of purchasing is happening, but a lot of research is happening in October. So it's happening effectively right now. So be aware of that. One thing to keep in mind as you're looking at building out your campaigns and generating awareness is to analyze your data, and don't look solely at revenue alone without understanding where the context of that revenue, where did it come from, where did it originate, and were there multiple touch points. So understanding the attribution, which can be done through Google Analytics and other platforms, to understand which platforms drive the most revenue, but ideally which campaigns or channels drive the most profitability, and then which campaigns themselves, based on the creative or offer, are generating the most success. And then, of course, you want to build goals around that data, derive your strategies and your tactics. And what you want to do is maximize those conversions for your most profitable customers. So you want to be research ready by October as you're looking to build awareness. So social media platforms are, what I've been saying for 10 years is that they're the ultimate focus group, the most affordable and largest focus group out there, providing insights into your customers, your competitors' customers, which are those switching opportunities. So social media can help you identify trends, buying trends, language, insights into buying behavior that you can shape your campaigns around. So for instance, more than 70% of respondents say they've bought gifts for themselves. We know that. But also an average of 20% of holiday purchases were just for themselves. So extremely selfish. Gotta love that. More than half of online holiday shoppers are purchasing items recommended by a retailer. 58% of men, 51% of women. And being a male, I can understand that we don't have a lot of time to think and aren't that smart. So we're just going to do what people tell us. It's a huge opportunity for marketers. And best deals are going to go all the way through December. And they're expected as consumers to get these discounts. If you don't provide them, you may be losing out, or you're going to have to try something much more creative. Lastly, there's the idea of getting people to drive through the site or through apps or in store. Recommended products, utilizing systems like Bazaar Voice and others to help people make the buying decision. Social proof, customer reviews and ratings, all that is really important. Again, don't forget the self-gifting opportunity, and know that you're building campaigns around the individual buyer. So the kind of data you want to collect when you're looking pretty much January through October is demographics. Is pretty straightforward. The gender, age, location will inform a bit. You'll know who to target, like when and where, basically, and what kind of message you might work. When you look at the social signals, what companies or what consumers are saying about your products and your brand, some of the challenges you might be facing, you need to address in your messaging, and then the sensitivity to your messaging and your campaigns and pricing based on other demographic, psychographic data would be very helpful as well. So let's talk about a few tactics to winning the holidays. So let's start with holiday testing. Now, we already mentioned that you want to make sure your user experience is dialed and ready to go by October, certainly by the end of this month at the latest, so that you're maximizing the value of every visitor. Most people already know what they want, and they know roughly what price they're willing to pay. So you have to make sure that you're playing in that space. And again, a lot of folks are buying earlier than ever as the buyers become more sophisticated. So being ready in September and October is more important than ever versus just doubling down at the end of November. So you really want to start your ads in August all the way through October to build your database and build a user base for your remarketing, retargeting efforts, which are far lower cost per click. So build your foundation before you turn on your targeted ads. Another thought, the first and most important step is getting an early start. Most small business retailers are starting in October, November. Big box stores are starting in June or July. So depending on your size, there's a good guideline here for when you should be starting, but to be safe, we're suggesting September. Regardless of your size, would be the ideal starting time at the latest. Best practice, you put a decent amount of budget behind prospecting campaigns, August, September, to build your retargeting, remarketing, as was mentioned. Your holidays campaign should be up and running in October for sure. And you'll start to see the prices rising right around that time, especially towards the end of November. So a few things to think about as you test your campaigns. So obviously there's the messaging, offer, promotions. There's the creative. Are you going discount? Are you going promotion? So there are a few ideas for you to consider. Is it 20% off versus save 20% off? Are you going to test hard dollar discounts versus percentage? The shopping now, save today. Generally speaking, the psychology, if you've read Dan Ariely's Predictably Irrational, is that people are comfortable losing about twice as much as they have to gain. So the opportunity to save $10 is a bigger opportunity, is actually about worth losing $20. So the idea is to frame in terms of loss to maximize action. Free shipping is a great offer as always, but you could test that against a flash sale, short-term sales, or short-term special package. Is your voice or brand more tongue-in-cheek? Is it more empathetic, romantic? And then, just timing and calls to action. You just want somebody to register? Do you want them to sign up? Do you want them to buy or follow you on social? Things to test in your creative. There are a lot of different ways you can do that. There's the white space versus color. You can see Facebook is enjoying the ability to give people color backgrounds to their comments, make them more interesting. So if people are going colorful, you might want to go simple, stark, white space. Animating some of your imagery, animated GIFs, videos, animations versus photography, people versus hero shots of the product versus landscapes. Animals always win. Are they relevant to your product? Maybe not. So a lot of these items that we're testing, and not just the imagery, but the placement of that imagery on the page can matter. Amazon has been testing continuously for nearly 20 years to get a maximum conversion rate that is at somewhere near or north of 14%, is typically around 3 to 4x higher conversion rate than the average website, e-commerce website. So always be testing, learn from Amazon. So let's talk about your website as an important anchor point for your sales and marketing efforts. So, online stores or stories act as a representation of your brand. So you treat your store with that same attention as you would your physical storefront. So physical product optimizations might include increasing your conversion rate by making review and product specifications more readily available, more detailed product descriptions. Right now, more than half of holiday shoppers say they start researching purchase in October. So when only a third of these consumers are actually purchasing, as we know. So I would also consider providing clear descriptions that are not only good for customers, but for search marketing, both paid and organic search. Multiple image views, 360 views, interactive views are always important. And then an FAQ associated with each product within the product page is a great way to reduce bounce rates and might attract more traffic through organic search. Do not bury the buy button. Make it visually the first thing you see when you load a page. It should stand out. You do want to be transparent about your shipping, especially if it's free with an asterisk. If it's not truly free, then you need to be very upfront about that. Shipping is a key factor. So if shipping varies by zip code, you need to make it clearly spelled out. And use of headlines, which is a SEO best practice, but header 1 through header 3 tags can really help content pop out, make those product pages scannable. People skim, search engine skim, make sure the keywords are embedded throughout the product pages, in the descriptions, in the header tags or headlines, etc. And product description pages can break your content up as well. Instead of a long scrolling detailed product page, You could break it up with graphics, imagery, animations, etc., to make it more of a long scrolling page that's more interactive, like a killer sales letter approach. The other thing is you can have certain content minimized, like if you've been on an Amazon shopping cart or product page, you can expand or contract different parts of your product page to minimize scrolling but maximize value for different kinds of shoppers. So here's an example, Williams-Sonoma. So they've got a focus on gifting. So you can see gifts under 50. They followed a best practice. Gifts in copper, that might be a reach. Maybe we don't care, but somebody might. So you throw this stuff out there and test it and see if it generates a return. Gifts for the wine lover. Again, I found as a male that if I don't know as much about wine or cooking or other stereotypical activities that a significant other might do, then the retailer helping me out with suggestions is always helpful. However, I do not need a gift guide about whiskey or beer, just so you guys know. So don't forget mobile. There's that pesky device you carry with you all the time that you're chained to and addicted to. 30% of retail sales came from mobile sites in 2016, last year. Over half of all e-commerce traffic came from mobile. That is insane. So obviously, you have to have a responsively designed page that renders well. Your site should render well in mobile. It also should be fast. So every second you delay, your conversions can fall up to 20%. And Google has a new site speed tool that will tell you your loss in conversion rate with their site speed tool. Just over a third of shoppers say they will not return to a retail site if it's not mobile optimized. So if you don't have a mobile site by now, it's probably too late for this year. Be thinking about that July timeframe or even January for rebuilding a highly responsive e-commerce site. Most shopping engines are responsive and have been for years, however. Gift guides, we touched on this, right? So, beyond the under $50 gift guide, which is a no-brainer, you can utilize social media, Pinterest and Instagram, to promote gift guides or even curate them. You want to build your audiences, and then you can hit them through retargeting. Post images on Facebook and Instagram to remind followers to purchase gifts for themselves, not just their friends and family. You can boost your posts on most of the social platforms for those gift givers with the gift guides. And then you could host guides on your sites to create remarketing lists for those that hit your site through paid search. 2/3 of people research products at a price point of less than $50. This is the third time I've said it, and I hope it's my last. I just want to make the point that there is no reason you shouldn't leave from this presentation and not have a $50 or less gift guide on your site. Simple design, they should be relatively simple. You can see this example here, calling out prices. Hopefully these are clickable, interactive, but very visual. This is a single piece of creative that you can utilize across social, on your website, in your email newsletters. That's all important. Another example, this is a coffee lover gift guide, right? Over 2/3 of people treat themselves to a gift while Christmas shopping. Again, third or fourth time I've told you this. It's very rare that our clients inherently are building campaigns for self-gifters or folks taking care of themselves. So making sure that in your recommendation engine or throughout your shopping or gift guides or on your homepage, you're reminding people to take care of themselves as well. You have typically a lot of their behavior data on your site already of what they've purchased. You know what they like. Sometimes it's hard to differentiate between what they like and what they're looking for somebody else. But if I'm looking for thongs on Victoria's Secret, it's probably not for me. If it was, I probably wouldn't have used that example. So be aware that you could build some logic into these gift guides, make them very effective. Different types of gift guides, right? For him, for her, the cook, coworkers, wine, coffee, beer, whiskey, gadgets, you name it. There's no end, but again, you should know your audience, both your repeat customers and their significant others that have been recommended to go visit that site, and be prepared to help them, guide them through a product selection. So gift guide checklists, are your gift guides optimized for social? Do you have campaigns on social to drive traffic to your gift guides? Are they hosted on your site, on individual pages, or they're in some larger section? Are you creating remarketing lists for visitors for each guide? Because each guide will be different topically, and each buyer therefore might be different. Is the site visitor able to find the exact product shown in the gift guide, or is that limited time only? You don't want to be doing bait and switch sort of activities. Further audience segmentation would be to build your lists early to max out your date range for every year you're targeting. Don't blanket do blanket remarketing campaigns. So segment your audience accordingly. So the life of products is a factor. If you're buying a lawnmower, you probably don't need another one for a couple of years, but you might need replacement products or maintenance. Remarketing lists can be used obviously for similar audiences in most platforms. But segment your content viewed. If you have gift giving guides, be sure to segment the users who have used them from those that haven't. And when targeting the shopping cart abandoners or window shoppers, try to serve dynamic remarketing ads that will feature the product that was viewed. So it's inserting that product so it follows you around. And you know when you've done this, when you've searched for a product and visited but not bought, and then you see that ad all over the internet, and you're wondering why the hell that is, that's remarketing, that's retargeting capabilities. So when you're segmenting your remarketing lists or your general database, separate your converters and send them content to reward those that are buyers versus cart abandoners. They were at the bottom of the funnel and they somehow bounced. Bring them back in with that incentive, dollars off, free shipping, whatever it is, because they already know what they want and they've already considered you through into the cart process. Bring them back. Then there's a tire kick window shopper types. They spent more than a minute on your site, visited multiple pages. They're higher up mid-funnel and worth a dedicated campaign with unique creative and offers. And then the bouncers, they spend them less than 10 seconds. They may never come back, but if you can target them with more top funnel activities and messaging, comparison, educational content, that can be great. So again, segmenting is absolutely essential in creating different targets, different targeted advertising creative for those different funnel levels of funnel is going to create much more value and effectiveness and help you slice the data and your campaign creative more effectively. So don't forget the idea of utilizing your own custom content or fans with UGC or user-generated content. 2/3 of consumers will be likely to share a link for a holiday contest, for instance, or create contests where user-generated content is the goal. Crowdsource that content so that you can identify, connect with influencers, reward them and the general public with really cool content. User-generated content can also increase your click-through rate, particularly on Facebook, by up to 3x using their Facebook ads. And typically, user-generated campaigns show a 50% lower cost per click or CPA for a variety of reasons, but know that you can save some time and money by leveraging user-generated content, which is usually typically far more authentic, real, and timely. Now let's talk about those influencers that you've identified. So 2/3 of millennials say they've never clicked on a sponsored post. They say that. Doesn't mean they have not done it. Majority, though, say their most credible source for information is their friends. So for every dollar brands spend on influencer marketing, they typically see a 6.5x return, $6.5. So influencers can be a wonderful way to generate awareness and sales. Micro influencers, so they're not making a living per se on a social W-2 tax return, but they have a very big effect over time when aggregated. So don't forget those lower level, amateur level social influencers. According to a Nielsen study, 90% of consumers trust recommendations from strangers and influencers over those from brands. So basically, your peers, your influencers are just as trustworthy as friends and family when driving purchase decisions. So a quick influencer marketing checklist. Make sure you have a creative brief with messaging do's and don'ts for those influencers. You want to create unique tracking codes for each influencer to use on their own campaigns, and individual landing pages when possible to give those influencers a custom experience that's curated, as well as far better tracking. When it comes to targeting, when you're building awareness, remember the holiday season has both the buyer and the recipient. So you can do a lot of what we call retargeting, remarketing with like or lookalike audiences. So if you want to expand your audience, you need at least 100 contacts for Pinterest, 1,500 for Google, 1,000 for Facebook, 300 for LinkedIn. Look at interest categories on Pinterest, Google, Facebook. Keywords, obviously that's Google's comfortable place, but Pinterest and Twitter also have keyword capabilities. Behavior, obviously Google and Facebook dial that in. And lookalike audiences or like audiences are available on Pinterest, Google, Facebook, and also I believe Twitter. So you want to make sure that you're leveraging your current database of contacts, rectify that against the databases from the major social and search platforms, and find people that they determine are matches and go market to them. Can be very, very effective. So let's talk about some marketing best practices. For starters, there is the ad creative, right? So you got to develop some really compelling creative for the holidays. And we recommend starting with at least 3 variations for each ad set so that you can test, A/B test or ABC test, multivariate test, different types of creative across a similar audience. 3 iterations of your best ads as you want to minimize ad fatigue. Ad fatigue is days to weeks on Facebook, days to weeks on Google, hours to days on Facebook. So you have to continually alter and tweak your creative or do it all up front, which allows you to do more testing and see what kind of creative is performing and benchmark those against new creative till you maximize your conversion rates. Some of the top performing ads use negative space or landscapes and bright colors. Now that I've said that, you're all going to do it, and that will mean next year this won't work as well. But don't become glued to best practices because only about half of top performing ads have a call to action. So it's okay to be yourself and try new things that haven't been done. In terms of search ads, best practices, obviously landing pages need to be relevant for the keywords or phrases that were searched. And ideally, you have an exact or phrase match when mapping to those keywords or phrases to a very relevant landing page. A secret pro tip, shift your funds away from social and display remarketing as the deadline approaches, because if they haven't come back to purchase by then, it's unlikely they will come back and you will be wasting money potentially. And you could be increasing your bids elsewhere on other campaigns. So be time sensitive to how you're allocating dollars. When it comes to Google Shopping, if you have product you can sell on Google Shopping, it's important to get whitelisted for promotions. Utilize the product listing ads to stand out from the competitors. You can show special discounts or offers. So you can notice the example here with the KitchenAid. There's a click here, $25 off your purchase, which makes it far more compelling. But if you don't click on that, you'd say these are the most expensive. They're the most expensive folks at Big Warehouse, but you might subtract it out and they become the most affordable. So it's a really tricky ground. So make sure your special offer is worthwhile. Make sure that you've identified your best value offerings and segment those into higher priority campaigns so you can bid more aggressively and ensure a higher impression. Basically, what we'll call doorbuster type deals. They may or may not be lost leaders, but effectively you've got a lot of inventory and you can blow it out and attracts people in like a magnet. Best practices on email. Retailers have to approach email strategically if they're going to rise above the holiday noise. Some best practices include a targeted subject line, clear path for subscribing or unsubscribing in case it's been forwarded, keeping your volume consistent. So how are you throttling your promotions? Daily, weekly, monthly? And strong use of images. Again, people tend to outperform product, but people using the product or having the hero shot is typically some of the most effective imagery you're going to see. And keep your calls to action simple and straightforward. So let's shift into some of the specific, one particular social platform that's probably underutilized by many of you attending is Pinterest. Pinterest offers the ability to shop e-commerce, and now Instagram is following suit as of this week. So primarily people are searching on branded content. But what's interesting is 75% of content is from businesses, 80% of activity is on mobile, 70% of pinners save or click out, and 87% have purchased a product because of Pinterest. So nearly 90% of pinners, people actively using Pinterest, are buying a product they were somehow influenced by Pinterest. And then I'm going to say the other most important stat here, 93% of active pinners said they've used Pinterest to plan for purchases. And nearly 2 million people pin products, are pinning product rich pins, so transactional e-commerce enabled pins. And really people aren't as opposed to ads as they're opposed to annoying ads. That would be true across any platform, of course. So don't say Pinterest is a visual platform. Show the product in clear, concise, compelling imagery. And again, lifestyle is great. Actionable content, embedding logo, making sure it's visible so people know what kind of product it is. And again, performing keyword searches on Pinterest will help you identify related searches and what kind of products are being, or brand searches are being done. And 4 to 10 exposures is probably the sweet spot for gift giving campaigns. So set your frequency accordingly. On Facebook, however, we do know that it's an amazing platform for prospecting and user-generated content, remarketing, gift guides. You can see this is a screenshot of just some of the targeting capabilities on Facebook. So we'll call it 50 criteria with really nearly limitless combinations and abilities to target. So this one sample search has got 156,000 people that fit that criteria specifically. The more filters you add, the smaller the audience gets, till you can basically start to target audiences of one if you feel that's worthwhile. I think that's probably not, but it's interesting that you can get that granular. Sister property Instagram to Facebook would be also similarly good for prospecting, remarketing, gift guides, but more so user-generated content. It can be very effective in that regard. So you can see an example from Sephora of full-size masks, 70 mystery samples with a $25 purchase. So swag big time. And you can see the image there is pretty compelling. They're doing a decent job of best practice promotions versus discounts. On Snapchat, you can use geofilters and target specific related campaigns or holiday related campaigns. And people can overlay your filter on their imagery and video in Snapchat to get you increased brand awareness, and very, very affordably. On Twitter, we've seen anywhere from decent performance to horrific performance. You really have to test it yourself to understand if it makes sense for your brand. So we're saying launch early and often. Again, I think customer service is probably the single biggest benefit of Twitter versus a shouting discount platform. People want to interact. They expect to interact. They expect you to respond. So consider it more of a market research customer service platform, and I think you'll get better results. But have a response plan in place ahead of time to deal with customer emergencies and complaints. What is your process? Who are your people monitoring and responding to those posts? And that same team might also be well equipped to handle other platforms like Facebook. And on LinkedIn, obviously people see B2B. LinkedIn is a business to business platform primarily, but businesses spend on holiday marketing as well. Gifts for the employees, for their customers and clients. So it is really good as a marketing platform. It can also be used for charitable causes. So you can see it can be expensive, but sponsored content typically is the best way to deal with LinkedIn. And then a couple quick case studies to show you what the holiday season can do for you and what we've done with brands like Moonstruck. We did not do the last holiday season we did was 2015 for them, but just showing you how important it is that to grow impressions, clicks, cost per click, and conversions. So this is a relatively small boutique chocolate company based in Portland with limited inventory. And with a similar spend from the previous year in 14, we were able to generate significantly more clicks, decrease the cost per clicks, and just so you know, with a similar spend, 324 additional conversions is significant income with their average order value. So that's on the chocolate side. On the curating of small spaces, dorms, and small apartments, we were able to generate an incredible return on ad spend, over 1,000%, and which led to a massive conversion rate, a lot of AdWord-driven revenue, and this was just shopping. So we had somebody ask when I presented this, a couple weeks ago here in Portland with Google, well, wait a sec, well, what was the ad spend differentiation? And because I don't think Dormify is on this call, I'll just sneak this in, that they spent half as much in May as they did on April. And we generated this return by really rebuilding their shopping campaigns. We took over from another agency, and just the first month, it did this well and we were able to cut their spend in half. So it's pretty compelling to build your shopping campaigns or rebuild them for the holiday season. So before we go to Q&A, just a quick recap. Start by planning your holiday season yesterday, or ideally last month. Look at your historic data, look at your competitors, look at benchmarks and research. You've got to get in the mind of the holiday shopper, start segmenting your lists based on who they are and where they have been as buyers or tire kickers or cart abandoners. Test various creative and offers, and be sure to leverage your influencers and gift guides. And obviously, and I'll say it one last time, I wasn't going to, but you've got that opportunity obviously to start soon, but also self-gifting is a major opportunity. So the more you can create custom channel specific campaigns, the better, but it doesn't mean you can't reutilize or reuse a variety of different creative and offers across multiple channels, but be aware different channels have different audiences and buying behaviors. So we will send an email follow-up to those attendees with a copy of this deck. And these are clickable links that come in the deck. And you can utilize those to go straight to some of our sources for some of this information. So I think we're going to open it up potentially to questions. So check out our insights section at anvilmedia.com/insights. We have blog posts, longer form articles, white papers, cheat sheets, and webinars. Sign up for our monthly newsletter. Throughout our website, we will tell you what's going on in the world of digital marketing. If you want help building out your campaigns, reach out to us. I'm at kent@anvilmedia.com on email, and respond to the emails that you've been receiving. You can also follow us on the social as well. So I don't know if we have any questions yet. We have one question here. What is the average spend increase for the holiday season? How do I budget for holiday spending? And that's a wonderful question. Thank you for asking. Basically, there isn't an easy formula, but what we typically see, I typically back it out of revenue. So I've seen clients that are generating revenue that's anywhere from 5 to 10x your average month. So typically your spend would be something similar. Some of our big e-commerce brands that I'll mention that are unnamed at this moment, but you can probably figure them out, are typically spending 40 to 60% of their total budget during the holiday season, meaning primarily November, December. So anywhere from, again, 40 to 60%. So you might want to budget in that regard. But looking at historic data isn't the only way. You got to look at trends. Focusing on things like increasing your retargeting through social or increasing your mobile ad spend to target that 30 to 50% of purchasers that are using a mobile device. But anyway, it should be a 3 to 10x increase in spend over your average monthly spend for the holidays. That should start ramping it up in October and peaking in late November, and then carrying through December. We have any other questions? We have time for one more question. I got another question here through email. The question is about the importance of SEO, search engine optimization, and how that plays against mostly a buy heavy or a spend heavy, advertising heavy topic or theme today. And, you know, I'd like to say that the goal is 100% of your business is coming through organic Google searches, but that's not really the case for really even our most successful and well-optimized clients. It can be anywhere from 25 to 50% of purchases are coming through organic search. But the reality is that paid media, paid search and social typically drive a majority of sales because that's where the traffic is and it can be purchased profitably. So if you can make a dollar with every 10 cents you invest, then you should have an unlimited media budget. So your holiday spend should be theoretically infinite as long as it's profitable, and you should know that your campaigns are profitable real time. And you know, that's obviously what we help our clients do. So we are out of time. We're at an hour. So I'm going to wrap this up and let you know you'll get a recap email from us as an attendee shortly with a link to this presentation. And you can also email me and I can get back to you at any time, Kent@anvilmedia.com, with questions or next steps. And I want to thank you again for your time. We'll hopefully catch you again on another Anvil Lunch and Learn. You can go to our events section under About Events and check out our future Lunch and Learns. We have them coming up, one coming up in November. I think that's actually me. And typically they'll alternate every month or so. So thank you again. Have a happy holiday, and we'll catch you up soon.